All right, guys. So I'd just like to say we're at the Expo, having our Bconnected World meeting in the Expo. It's a fantastic event. And as per normal, we have one of our educators. So over to you, Stuart George from CKP Creative. And you're on mute.
Fantastic. I had all the buttons clicked apart from that one. Brilliant. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. Welcome to the Expo, and great to be here to share some information. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is what's on the screen there, which is websites and digital ecosystems. Actually, websites are part of digital ecosystems too. And when you combine all of these fantastic elements together, that means growth for your business. Absolutely. So without further ado, so we're diving in, and this is us. And for those of you that were on the call earlier, so we provide digital solutions for business. That includes branding, websites, and digital tools and systems. And this is what we're talking about here, which is actually combining all of those elements, because in the same way that, look, a mouthful of flour might give you the promise of something, but if you combine that with all the right ingredients, some butter, some sugar, some oil, some love, some stirring, and some cocoa, right, you stir that together, put that in the oven, you're going to get a cohesive substance known as a lovely piece of cake. So, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to combine these disparate elements together so that they can work in the best way for you. And like I said before, we've been doing this for such a long time, since the dawn of really digital, way back. And like I always like to say, like I said before to the room, I've torn my hair out so you don't have to. We've been through this process, done the hard yards, and so that way we can share this with you. So to start off with, the modern shopfront is the website. Yeah, our families, myself and my wife is my co-director, and we've got a whole team around us too. We can't do all that we can do by ourselves, so we've built up a fantastic team around us, and all the systems to go along with that too. But the history of our family is actually within sign writing, would you believe? So actually creating those shop fronts. So way back in the day, my grandfather would go around with a pot of paint, and he could paint a shop front with a very old chain of stores back in Adelaide called Foursquare. And he would be out the front, and he would be putting on the biggest show, painting the sign on the front of the door and doing the ticket writing, if those of you might remember that. So he used to do that. So he put on such a show, they actually got him to then present at events. And I think the apple hasn't fallen far from the generational tree. And on my wife's side, her family, interestingly, we didn't meet through sign writing, but her father was a sign writer, father before again, and also slightly to the left, her cousins actually designed what is now known as the 4X man that you might see. So that's the sort of history we've got in doing what we do, right the way back from pot and paint out the front of a shop to digital. So what does a website do for your business? It helps build your credibility, trust. It tells a story and your message. That's the most important thing. Showcasing, and it sells your products and services. A lot of you know this already, but we're iterating this. And for those who are tuning in as well, these are fantastic points. And so you've got to have one. It's your 24/7 sales team. We'd all love a salesperson that could actually jump on the phone and have a chat at any time of the day, because sometimes people do jump on and ask questions when they are feeling relaxed. Remember, they might be dual screening, watching some Netflix, and they jump on and actually jump on and ask a question. We've got systems that follow that up as well. So you've got that lead generation that can happen 24/7. It's brilliant. And so they've got to be connected to everywhere as well. So with all of these things combined, your website can help you save time, and it helps you expand your reach. But there's a lot of things around it too. And this is the last remaining element there as well. Businesses will stop considering your business if they can't find you. And so it's just the modern day dilemma that you've got to be everywhere. And when you're everywhere, you've got to look good. So you've got to turn up sharply dressed. That's the whole thing. All right. So search. So Google search, and since, yes, I put up the nasty word COVID, but since COVID, people have been trained. Where do they go? They jump on their phones. Where do they go? They jump on their computers. They're trained to go and look for things online, which is brilliant because it helps us to be omnipotent. helps you to be everywhere. And when you do show up everywhere, your website's got to look its best, and whatever else you're doing has to look its best. It sort of brings into that branding aspect as well. So you've got to be visible. You've got to be connected. Your Google profile. I know Trevor's here in the room, and there's a specialist there with Google business profiles as well, and reviews. So you've got to be there too. And then, how do you know what people have been doing? Do you sit down and use a divining rod? Do you guess? No, as a business owner, and as Jeff speaks about constantly, you've got to meter and measure everything you're doing, test and retest, and go back and A/B split test as well. So this is where you need your Google Analytics connected, so you can see the actual trail that these people have left. And I tell you what, the ability to go back when a lead connects and look at their footpath that they've taken through our website and see how long they spent on certain pages gives you enormous insight into what content you need to produce more of, but also what they're interested in and what questions they might have. And so I always like to say all of this information that you can gather by having analytics and the correct tracking on your website, it's creepy, but it's cool. All right. So it might be creepy because you can see what they're doing, but it's super cool because you can then deliver the best response back to them that you possibly can. So you're really missing out if you don't have that that bit of information. And of course, there's new software that's just been released where you can actually tap payments on your phone. So no longer do you have to go back to your Apple Wallet. You can bring out a card and tap if you're not in that ecosphere. Fantastic, absolutely. Phones are the key, and my phone, annoyingly to my family, it's never far from my grasp, and it's quite amazing what you can do. So people want instant action. They don't want to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They want you to respond, and not respond in a creepy, hey, buy this. It's what is it? It's about creating relationships. You can create relationships with your messaging. It starts with that on your website. And it starts with how you follow up, whether it is a very well-trained chatbot. Because I know Jay has that on the site now. It's been trained. It's getting better and better with its responses. It's learning all the time as well. There's amazing systems that may not suit you, but the ability to be able to reach out and connect with people that visit your site and for them to easily connect with you and you can follow them up, that's really important. It's the essence of business. So this is the whole thing. So all modern businesses really need to be found, be fast, and give great service. Web visitors want great service, and they want you to be fast. That's it. Okay, fast and responsive. So common business challenges. I'll drop a few of these down. So we've got leads and finding customers. It's a nightmare for everybody. It's one of the biggest conversations. So how do you do that? Well, you've got to show up, you've got to be out there, you've got to be posting, you've got to then be able to track what's going on, meter and measure that, and draw them through with quizzes, questionnaires, lead forms as well that go through into your systems as well. It's brilliant. So just that marketing, this is a real challenge for people. How I'm the best thing since sliced bread, but no one knows about me. If people don't know about you, you need to ramp up your marketing. It's really important. So then it's managing and building that database and what to do. And I had an amazing conversation with a client today. Poor guy, all right? This poor guy, he's only got 8,000 people in his database. A bugger. So with 8,000 people, I'm being silly, 8,000 people, that's a huge opportunity to get out there. For those of you that have got even bigger databases, and I know there's people who have this in their room as well, if you're not regularly connecting with them, then they're going to forget you exist because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of news happening. There's, we've just had another festival close. We've had this go on. There's lots of interesting things going out there in the business world, and their attention gets dragged left and right. So client retention comes into that, managing that database. You've got to keep their attention. So keep in front of them, and you can do that with your systems. Now, everyone's favorite topic. I love this one, accounting. If you don't know your numbers, as Jeff often refers to there, Jeff Hetherington. So if you don't know your numbers, you know nothing. You know, it's like you get in the car, plant your foot, don't steer, don't know what speed you're going. Let's find out how quickly that car ends up in a ditch, you know, and that vehicle, that's your business. So you've got to have that accounting in there too. So that needs to be connected in as well. This all sounds heavily confusing and, you know, like how can this possibly happen? And then, of course, we're running out of time, right? So now, and I'm being very mindful of time too. I'll keep marching forth. So you got to build, got to actually bridge your digital gaps, and to solve these common problems, which are what we just mentioned then, and they're all common problems shared by a lot of businesses. So this is why you should consider having a digital ecosystem. So a digital ecosystem is, if you think about the Apple universe, love them or hate them, you've got, and I have an Apple Watch I'm about to charge up and put on my wrist. I'm a bit excited about that. So now my wrist can be connected to the whole ecosystem as well. Everything talks. Everything, it's not a step away from being able to send a message, respond to a message, look at the weather, look at what's going on, and then cross to another device. That's a digital ecosystem, and it's a highly, highly effective one. And it hasn't done them, you know, any badly. They're marching forth. So here we go. Digital tools, CRM, chatbots, ERP, WTF. What does all this mean? So we can break all of it down. So a CRM, and there's some fantastic CRMs out there, and of course, including the amazing Bconnected World CRM. Now, I absolutely respect the system. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm already in depth and set up with another CRM system, but having one is the key, and then knowing how to use it is the second one. Chatbots and systems and enterprise systems as well, which is around an ERP. All of those things are stacked business systems where everything talks. Really, that's what it is. That's what the, for goodness. All right, so why do you need these things? Okay, so what we need them for is to save time with integrations and automation. They're the brilliant things to manage your content and your online marketing, because with great systems, all of this flows through, and the people that like my posts on Facebook come through as leads. I can then find their name and track them down, and actually reach out and connect with them. So anybody that's interacting, whether it's social, on my posts, whatever it is, I can find them. And like I said, creepy but cool, and actually approach them and work with them as well. So it's a brilliant thing. Tracking your business admin, your collaboration tools and systems as well within your business too. This is all part of this amazing sphere, and this needs to be integrated. So typical, I think there's a whole mess of tools. Now, all of these tools, including Bconnected World, as you can see there, and if you choose to use Salesforce as well, you know, there's a lot of other things there too. G Suite's now called Google Workspace, but I'll leave that out there for old time's sake. But all of the systems that you see on the screen there can actually interact and integrate. Some of them have intermediary tools, and they're called integrators. And you've got Padlet, which I know Jay's a big fan of. Zapier or Zapier, call it what you will. It's amazing. And for those of you that remember the Babel fish, which was there you go, that's a very deep dive. Douglas Adams, yes, Jeff knows it, fantastic. So Jeff, the Babel fish, go. You've laughed, you know what it is. What is it?
Well, the Babel fish was a very small thing you inserted in one of your ears, and it acted as a universal translator, translating every language in the known universe.
Fantastic. See, this is Jeff knows all the things. If you need it, even back to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and all the associated books,
A trilogy of 4 parts, I might add.
It is, I'm not saying this to you, but so long and thanks for all the fish was what the dolphins said as they flew away, because as it turns out, they were aliens. Who knows, people? But I can tell you what, they were interconnected. And without these translations, without your version of a Babel fish sitting in your ear, which comes from that book series, nothing talks, nothing goes on. You're left with a version of Klingon for business. No one needs that. There's another deep dive, that's Star Trek. But you've really got to know, and everything needs to connect, everything needs to talk. It's brilliant. So if somebody books in your Calendly, and I know somebody in the room is having this problem, somebody books a Calendly meeting in, if you then have to duplicate that to another calendar so nobody books you, you're so behind the 8 ball. It really is. So here we go, marching forth. When things aren't connected, they're called silos, okay? And typically it's data, comms, finance, social. There's so many other silos that you can make yourself without even knowing. What do you need? You need them all to be integrated. Here's a lovely sphere of all the things that can be integrated, whether it's to recruitment, your analytics, your lead generation systems, your inventory. All of these elements need to combine and win. You know, the Justice League, you know, Superman was off by himself, you know, doing his thing, but he needed the Justice League because, you know, the lasso and the whole thing. You need to combine forces. You need a superhero team. That's what you need. So, and your look, and literally, this is the way it works for us. You've got a CRM. You know, it's sort of in reverse. It can come from your website, of course, and from chat, your Google tracking and Facebook tracking. You know what's going on. You're supporting your clients. You've got a phone system that integrates. Then you've got your accounting, because that's how you're sending your bills, and it all comes together in your CRM. So it really all needs to integrate like this too. So, alrighty, we're marching forth because we don't have all the time in the world. So building a digital ecosystem can benefit your business. Fast responses, improved collaboration, more leads, more conversions. You won't be disrupted like a DVD store, and all of your critical data is in one place. You've got a single source of truth. You're not looking for post-it notes and things written everywhere to try and collaborate. And who's got a stack of business cards? I don't anymore, because they're all in my CRM with a click. You can do so many things. So this is why having a digital ecosystem for your business, which includes all of those elements, all talking, is a brilliant thing, and why this is going to help your business grow and you to succeed and have the life that you want. Thank you very much, Stuart from CKP Creative. It's been a pleasure. If there are any questions at all, yeah, would love to take those now.
Beautiful. So if you've got a question for Stuart, raise your virtual hands. That's probably the first time ever we've never had a question for Stuart on marketing.
That is totally okay.
You're obviously getting too good at it. And Jackie, much a sec, read the emails. It's Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Yeah, I knew I was late. It was just with the I just had the kids, so I was sort of jumped in at the end.
All good. You're lucky. You're lucky. It was it's Jackie. She's a new member. We'll bring her in. Dr. Chris.
Welcome. Dr. Chris, hit me up.
Well, I couldn't let Stuart go without a question or a comment, and so I wrote this down. When you said the dawn of digital, you've been around since the dawn of digital. I thought that was fantastic.
Thank you.
And yes, the analogy of the shop front is being the website. That's great, and it's good to be reminded of those kinds of things. You think, oh, bloody website, yeah, but it's such an important thing. Because it is the street facing representation of one's business. So yeah, thanks for that. It was a great presentation, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's in the lounge room playing Pong. Yes, and that was the only game that people had, right through to watching people code, saving the games onto cassettes. Oh, gee, it's gotten a lot easier. Done that. The screaming sound of an internet device trying to connect. So Desiree, thank you so much. You've got a question?
Yes, I do. With all this these different bits to connect, are these all stuff you download on your system, or they're just somewhere in the cloud? And are these all cost money, each one of those, or how long does it take? So a few mini questions in one. But looking at all that, it looks a tad overwhelming. And if one messes up, does everything mess up? And then you don't know, how do you, those kinds of things are the questions, because it looks like a lot.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm going to go in reverse order. Okay. Look, everyone, pulls a clanger every now and then, copies his thing they shouldn't have, and hasn't got something connected, but nothing's going to blow up and no one's going to pass away. That's the whole thing you've got to think about. You're running a business, unless you are in the business of saving lives. We're not in the business of saving lives. So I'm going to say a lot of people have fear, trepidation. I've seen people sit in front of a computer to talk about this stuff and start hyperventilating. And I know, Angela, they need to have a big chat to you about that too. But look, I think part of this too, a major element of what we do is actually bringing a sense of calm and order to that storm. That's something that we love doing, but you can have that too. Don't be frightened by it all. Now, so going back to the top of the hour with your first question there too, these things can live in the cloud as well. The cloud, look, it's nothing fancy. It's a computer somewhere that's connected to something, right? That's it. That's what the cloud is typically. And they're not fancy blue rooms with funky lights. They're typically, not hot, but very cold rooms in a very boring building. So that's where all of the applications live. And then your computer basically puts a call into that and extracts the information that it needs. Sometimes they can actually sync and be on your desktop and in the cloud as well. And there's a bit of push, pull and syncing. And that's part of that integration as well. So in fact, the answer is yes, no, sometimes, and maybe to all of those questions. But look, it's absolutely brilliant. So but really the most important thing to remember is don't be overwhelmed. There's a lot of information out there where you can YouTube things. You really can. You can do courses or you can speak to people. We're all here. A lot of people in the room here to talk to about this as well. But taking it step by step, finding a need, and then finding the system that fulfills that need, and then branching out from there. That's what you need to work on. And don't try and do it all at once, because you can't. You won't. Your brain will literally explode and you'll start pulling your hair out. I'm sure you'd look amazing, but no, I'm going to say don't do that. But thank you very much for your question.